It's a very good afternoon and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Let's take a look at our top stories. Zimbabwe to declare missing Idai victims dead. Cost of living in Zimbabwe rises again. Woman beaten by colleague after reminding him to wear a mask. And in sport, Zimbabwe lady chevron star reflects on memorable moments. Zimbabwe is considering declaring people who disappeared during the Cyclone Idai disaster last year dead. The cyclone killed hundreds, displaced thousands, and damaged infrastructure running into thousands of dollars. Now, almost a year and a half after disaster struck, and as families pick up the pieces, Zimbabwe plans to give people closure. Local government minister July Moyo says provisions in the Civil Protection Act will be used to end the matter.
In terms of the existing Home Affairs Acts, you are not supposed to declare somebody permanently missing or dead until after 5 years. We have said using the Civil Protection Act, we can claw back the number of years, but that needs us to do a number of other investigative things in order to come up with shortening the time. And we had agreed that part of that process is to be led by the chiefs and the traditional leaders in those areas. That aspect has not been finalized, but we don't believe that it will take 5 years as stipulated in the act that is administered by the Minister of Home Affairs and National Heritage.
The cost of living for a low-income urban family of 6 in Zimbabwe has shot up to 13,000 Zimbabwe dollars, surging 49.2% from the May figure of 8,725 Zimbabwe dollars. Figures released to ZTN by the Consumer Council of Zimbabwe also indicate that the food basket spiked by $3,871 or 69.7%, up from $5,551 by end of May 2020, up to $9,422 by the end of June 2020. The consumer watchdog attributed this spike to the influence of the parallel market on exchange rates, increase in fuel prices, and limited supply of some basic products. Economist Persistence Gwanyanya said the increase in the minimum basket was being driven by inflationary pressures.
The latest inflation figures, you would agree with me that even the cost of goods and services in the economy is increasing at an increasing pace, at an accelerating pace.
Equities analyst Respect Gwenzi said prices were shooting up because of developments around the country's exchange rate.
Prices basically going up. This becomes an inflation issue. Why is inflation going up? Because people are pricing their product based on my USD prices, and so even in Zim dollar terms, they're simply tracking the USD movement and pricing it in terms of their ZWL price. So the price keeps going up, despite the fact that incomes may not be responding at a similar rate.
Nurses in Zimbabwe are accusing health authorities of victimizing them after they were given notices to vacate flats owned by government last night. Authorities argue that only those who are not on strike should continue staying in the apartments. ZTN correspondent Samantha Rusare is at the hospital.
Workers of Parirengatwa Hospital in Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, are now planning their lives out of these premises behind me. Now, their employer last night sent them a 3-month notice for them to vacate the premises after their ongoing strike. On their strike, they are demanding that they have a salary increment. Now, their employer is arguing that by them not reporting for work, they are forfeiting each and every right of theirs to be living within these premises. At the present moment, in Parirengatwa, it's only the patients who are suffering, but ZTN will keep you updated on this story.
But Zimbabwe Nurses Association President Enoch Dongo says the issue of accommodation and salaries are not related.
We have isolated the cases of purely victimization. For example, at Parirengatwa Group of Hospital, the CEO of Parirengatwa decided to evict all the nurses that are staying at Parirenyatwa residence due to their democratic rights of withdrawing the labor, asking for increase in terms of the salaries. Hence, with that, we have seen that as a total victimization done by the management, and we condemn it totally, and we want the CEO to urgently reverse their decisions.
An invasive weed commonly known as mupesepese is threatening agricultural activities in Chimanimani district in eastern Zimbabwe. The weed is also threatening pastures and the existence of some indigenous trees in the area, and villagers require assistance in controlling the wild plant.
We have got what we call the mpesepese trees, or the Munyahondo tree. It is widely spreading in our community. And as such, it can actually disturb because it invades, it colonizes land previously suitable for arable agriculture.
Muti uyu wakauya unonzi wakaspreadwa neumwe farmer kuMozambique. Muti uyu wakauya from abroad, wanga usiri muno.
Mpesepese uyu wakutikanganisira kuti mafuro emombe chaiwe, kunyari emombe, zvifuyo zvedu zvakadai ngezvidoko, mbuzi, wakutotikanganisira kuti ndiwo wacho watowanda. Uyezve mune shiri dzitinodisisa chaidzo diki dzine miti yeti dzinondya, watopedze kutouraya. Saka muti uyu wakatoipa kana uri munharaunda.
Conservation specialist Togarase Fakarai, who is also the program's manager for BirdLife Zimbabwe, speaks on the danger that are being posed by the plant.
Well, yes, this tree, which they call mpesepese, is really an invasive plant species. So it's really invading, replacing the natural forest that used to be here, and also areas probably that has been cleared up, maybe abandoned. Mpesepese is very easy to replace such areas. So it's really an environmental threat, because once you have an alien invasive plant species, it's causing some problems within the environment, because it's not a species in that particular environment. So it's a species that is coming from somewhere. So I think it has got more of the disadvantages than the advantages. But however, local communities who are living here, they will say that in terms of those who are into beekeeping, it's good for flowering, but it's not really good for the environment, because the way it really invade into the environment and will replace maybe the natural environment, vegetation that used to be here.
The World Health Organization has called for caution as African airlines begin operations in various countries. The WHO said strict measures should be observed to prevent surges in coronavirus infections. The organization urged governments to ensure airlines take information of passengers traveling and follow up with them to prevent outbreaks. The WHO Regional Director for Africa, Dr. Matshidiso Moeti, said air travel was important for the economy, but the new normal still requires stringent measures to stem the spread of COVID-19. A female contract worker was viciously attacked by her male colleague after she reminded him to wear a mask in the office. Bhaskar Rao beat Chechuri Usharani with a broken-off chair arm as she crouched on the floor in fear in the South Indian city of Nellore. Ms. Usharani was seriously injured in the assault, and Rao, who is said to have held a grudge against his victim, has been arrested. The French government, led by Prime Minister Edouard Philippe, and his government have submitted their resignations, which President Emmanuel Macron has accepted. According to the Elysee Palace, no reason was given in the short statement issued on Friday, but a cabinet shuffle had been widely expected after Macron promised to chart a new course for the last 2 years of his term. We move now to sports. Christabel Chatonzwa is one of the most experienced of Zimbabwe women cricketers. She made her one-day international debut in 2008 Women's Cricket World Cup qualifier and made her T20 debut at the 2013 ICC Women's World 2020 qualifier. She spoke to ZTN on her most memorable moments.
when we were in Ireland, and it was a match against Thailand, and I got this as a reward for taking my team to a win. It was a beautiful moment, and the platform that we're in Europe as well, it all come together to this end. Yeah, that was my best moment so far.
Liverpool's Premier League title-winning celebrations were dampened by a super-effective Manchester City last night. The 4-0 defeat was a reminder to the champions that next season it will be difficult to retain the title. Jurgen Klopp's side ended an agonizing 30-year wait for the top-flight title when City lost at Chelsea last week. Last night was, however, a different story. Before the heavy defeat, the Reds had been given a guard of honor by the hosts before kick-off. Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden were on target for City, while Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain scored an own goal. And that's it from us at ZTN News Blitz. Thanks for watching.